Now, when I first heard about Kings of Paradise, I was told, well, the main character in that, he might be a little bit of a psychopath. I'm like, well, he can't be more of a psychopath than Jorg from Broken Empire, right? Read chapter 1. Hey, what's up, bookworms, and welcome to the Land of Ash. Today we are talking about the first book in the Ash and Sand trilogy, Kings of Paradise, by Canadian author Richard Nell, independently published in 2018 with follow-ups with books 2 and 3 in 2019 and 2020, respectively. He sent this book to me last year. I read it around Christmas time. He sent it to me with no strings, said, hey, if you have time to read it, cool. If not, hey, don't worry about it. Just whenever you can get to it. So I wanted to make sure that I gave him some feedback the best way that I could through a video, right? So I want to talk about this now because I feel like it's a book I've gotten a lot of questions about. I feel like a lot of people have had some interest in it. I first learned about it from my good friend Patrick. You might know him from Goodreads. He also has his own YouTube channel. But this is one he highly recommended. And I feel like mine and his tastes align a lot to where anything he highly recommends I'm going to listen to. And the comparison he kept saying was it was very, very Abercrombie, A Song of Ice and Fire levels of Grimdark. I'm like, all right now, calm down, right? Well, did it meet those? Well, we're going to talk about them now. So let's do like we always do, guys, first and talk about what is it about. Now we have Ruka. He is the son of Bela, and he is a monster. He's single-born, twisted, and ugly. Ruka has the bright golden eyes of a wolf, but his mind is as vast as an open sea. Born in the frozen, snow-covered wasteland of the Ascom, the land of Ash, Ruka was spared from death at birth by his mother's love, then raised at her side. Now he is an outlaw and dreams only of vengeance. But can a broken genius find redemption? Can he fulfill his mother's dreams and use his gifts to change the world? Or once he has it in his grasp, will he simply break it apart? Now across the vast sea is a white sand island paradise of Sri Khan. There, Ratama Kale Alaku is fourth and youngest son of the island monarch men called the Sorcerer King. And at 16, Kale is a disappointment, and his father has sent him away to the Navy, perhaps in hopes of salvaging a once promising child, or perhaps just to get rid of him. But Kale must prove his worth, not just to his father, but to himself. He must become more than just a wastrel prince, and quickly, or else he will lose all hope of purpose and love. Though Kale does not know it yet how or why, he stands on the cusp of discovery. For his path, his way, is perhaps the only hope for his family, his people, and as the storm gathers across an unknown sea, maybe the world itself. And guys, that's one of the longer synopses I've had for this because I took it straight off of his website, so thank you, Mr. Nell. You write a very compelling synopsis for your very nice blurb for your story here. Let's do like we always do, guys. Let's talk about what makes it good or bad. I'm going to start with the good here. Cat out of the bag. Grimdark fans are going to eat this up. Yes, I liked it because it is probably the most bleak and hopeless world that I've stepped into since Adua, since Westeros. It really does fit that hype in that everything feels kind of bleak. And not in like an unreadable way. I know I have my criticisms of Broken Empire. I never feel like it's quite like that. When I really feel like there's that fine line when you start talking about Grimdark. What's Grimdark and what isn't? To me, it's Grimdark if you actually give a damn about those characters that are doing questionable things. Just making your character a complete just psychopath. To me, that doesn't make it Grimdark. Oh yeah, they're really shitty people and they just kill a lot of people. That doesn't make it Grimdark to me. To me, it's the world. If the world feels almost very, very hopeless. And this does, but never to the point of nihilism. That's always where some of these take it too far, and it goes off of Grimdark and just becomes nihilism to me. I never quite feel like that, but it does feel like I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel very, very, very much in this. And I do think the word hopeless is used about like 1,200 times in this book. So yes, a very, very unforgiving world. damaged characters. If you love you some damaged characters, man, this is going to be it. I think that First Law fans are going to really find lots of things they like. The damaged characters like a Galacta or Prince Jazal, things like that. I think you'll find a lot of the likeness with those, with Ruka, who obviously is disfigured and has issues. And then you have Kale, who I wouldn't say he's quite like Jazal, kind of like flipped, where Jazal was like, Mr. Badass, just he had a very bright future no matter what. Whereas Kale seems like, okay, yeah, I'm fourth in the line of succession. I'm more of like a Jon Snow in that, yeah, my option's probably to go to the wall unless there's a crazy war and everyone I know dies kind of thing. I don't really have much of a future, but you got to see the things that he decides to do in this. So I definitely think fans of First Law will definitely be interested in this from the Grimdark and the damaged characters perspective. You'll find plenty that you like there. Ruka is he's like kind of that character that you want to see him get revenge, but you're also kind of like hoping for that shred of humanity to come through. It's never someone that you can't root for because there's things that happen to him early that you're like, yeah, I want to see him slaughter these fools, And he is very much the kind of character who just wants to see the world burn, But you feel like, okay, there's still hope for him in there somewhere. Obviously, that's what keeps it a character that has some layers, some things that you want to know about. But yeah, this isn't a spoiler, guys, because it's page 1. The book opens with him eating a child that he just killed. Okay, so it's very much a tone setter for Grimdark and this damaged-ass character where you're like, oh my god, right? So that right away caught my attention that, wow, this might be something different. Yeah, Kale... I think with Kale, it's kind of the underdog. You feel like the underdog. You find yourself rooting to him because of his status, because of his station in life. What is he going to do? He's got these unreal expectations on him, which is weird because when you're the fourth son of a king, really, what do you have to do? Be a ambassador or something like that, right? So it's for him trying to find like a purpose or whatnot, but it gets much, much deeper than that. This might sound like something, I've heard this kind of tale a million times. It has some wrinkles that you probably won't be expecting. One of the best things about this is something that I find rather surprising is that the romance is surprisingly good. I really did not expect that. When I first saw it, I was like, oh no, here's my thing where I talk about how male fantasy authors cannot write romance, and they definitely can't write a sex scene. With this, the romance is good, but look, I'm going to just say real fast, the sex scene in this, scenes in this, I was kind of like, yeah, it was really good. So I was like, wow, this is bucking that trend. Usually most male fantasy authors try to write a sex scene. It's just super, super cringe. Looking at you, Rage of Dragons. And with this, I was like, damn, this is really, really good. So I don't know if he has like a little bit of a background in some Harlequin romance here, but it was good. I make a lesser person blush, I think, maybe. Very, very well written and never to the point of getting uncomfortable with it. It's a believable romance, and it's a romance that you find yourself kind of rooting for, because it's kind of one of those forbidden things that you find yourself actually in support of it. The world building in this is quite strong. It really, really is. You would think in one book, and that's the thing is a lot of people will pick this up and they'll say, that's really slow. It starts really slow. And it is. I'd say probably the first 200 pages, first third of this book, is really a slow burn establishing this world. But I mean, that's all book ones in a series or a trilogy, guys. You have to establish your world. He doesn't get real super info dumpy with it, so that helps a lot. But you really do feel like these are two very different lands that these two main characters are living on here. And you're just waiting for them to meet up. He really does create a very different and distinct atmosphere between these two lands, and it's quite the parallel, and it really helps differentiate those characters, and especially the ways that different ways that they have grown up, and you just can't wait to see them meet. There are a couple of bad things here that I kind of want to talk about, and again, when I say the bad, you guys, I want you to understand. I mean, this is subjective to you. This is going to depend on you. There's some things that I didn't like that much. I hate saying bad because I really don't think there's much bad in this book. I said these two main characters. There are three main characters in this book. The thing is Dala was a character I just could never find myself getting invested in. I thought her love interest was as interesting as dry toast. It never really clicked for me. Yeah, she had some hardships and stuff like that. And I just felt like we got so much of her. It was like I found Kale and Ruka's story so good that whenever I turned the page and it'd be a Dala chapter, I'd be like, oh man. So that was probably me. It was probably me. I don't think that she's absolutely horribly written or anything like that. She's written just fine. It was just a story that I found way subpar compared to Kale and Ruka's stories, which were very, 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 very good. So, and then the other thing is kind of the pacing. I thought maybe the POVs need to be break up a little more because he will spend 5-6 chapters in a row on one character, and you'll be like, well, I just want to get back to Ruka, or I just want to get back to Kale. Oh no, it's another Dala chapter, and this is the 6th one in a row. It almost got to like that point of was it Path of Daggers when we had a time where it was like, wow, 5 Elaine chapters in a row. This is awesome. Now, she's not quite on the level of like an Elaine. Don't get me wrong there. It's just a character, I don't know. I don't know. Never her story, becoming a priestess, it just never really interests me as much. But I think that really is just by comparison because Ruka and Kale's stories were so good. So I look forward to see what he does with that in books 2 and 3, obviously. But as for this one, that was kind of a miss for me. But again, I think it's more so because the other ones were such big swings and hits that this one was kind of a swing and a miss for me here. As for why you guys should read it, now look, if you love Grimdark, but you keep getting lied to, it's not a lie with this one. And what I mean by that is you get sold stuff all the time. Oh, it's a new Grimdark tale, and you read it and you're like, this is just brutal for brutal's sake. You know, again, just Grimdark to me is not writing bastard characters. That doesn't make it Grimdark to me. Oh, everybody dies every other page. If I'm not invested in your characters, I don't care. In Grimdark, the really good Grimdark, like Joe Abercrombie, he makes you care about his characters, and then you care about what happened to them, and you find yourself asking, I don't know why I love these characters, but I do. Lots of stuff that gets sold to me as Grimdark, that never happens. I never, ever get invested in those characters, and when they die, I'm just like, so it really depends on your brand of Grimdark. But if you're very much a Abercrombie fan, or the style of Grimdark that George R.R. Martin was writing when he used to write, yeah, I think that you'll find plenty to like here, because that's a compliment I'm not going to hand out very lightly, saying that it's the most Grimdark world that I've visited since Adua and since Westeros. I really do mean that. That's again a very high compliment, and I want to revisit this world, even though I know it's not going to end well, right? But yeah, this will definitely tickle that Grimdark funny bone. That's what you're looking for. And again, if you love you some damaged characters in damn near hopeless feeling situations, this will be your bread and butter. You're going to eat this up. You're going to love it. And you're going to be reaching for book number 2, which I still don't have immediately. So yeah, it's the fact that the series is done, I think that's another reason that you might want to read it, and especially since I have been told by my pal Patrick is that books 2 and 3 blow this one away. So that is very much to look forward to. Some final thoughts here. I think this is quite ambitious of a first story. 608 pages, independently published there. But I never really feel like it's overly long. You know, it probably feels like one of those things where, and I don't know, this is kind of a guess because I haven't read 2 or 3 yet, in that once you read the whole thing, you feel like, you know, if he wanted, he probably could have made this 5 books. You know, but I'm glad that authors are saying they're writing a trilogy and they're sticking to writing a trilogy, because so many have fallen into that Brent Weeks trap of, I have a trilogy, but you know what, these sales are so good, I'm going to kind of break this into 4 or 5 books, and then they suffer for it. But again, that's a guess on my part. Look, I think this just weaves together such an impressive new world of 2 very, very compelling characters, and 2 very distinct and different lands and ways of life, and different types of survival, because I feel like they're both real survivors with their lifestyles, but in very, very different ways. You know, one is literally, one is figuratively. But it's, like I said, it's a slow burn, I think, for that first quarter, and then it really, really branches out. And the final act is just buckle up, baby, because it gets wild, but it is incredibly, incredibly satisfying. And it definitely has enough of those There's hooks there for you that you're going to want to keep going with book number 2. Another thing is, look, you guys know that I don't audiobook, right? I know that he had Ralph Lister do his audiobook for this. And I know a lot of people like Ralph Lister. Here's the deal. Books 2 and 3 don't have audiobooks. So I want you guys to buy this so it will encourage Audible to do audiobooks 2 and 3 for them, because I feel like those help so many authors. There's so many people now that are just Audible only. You know, they will only audiobook series, and they'll look this up and they'll see, oh, well, only the first book has an audiobook. So I don't know if this is something that Mr. Nell himself wants or is stomach for, or what the reasoning is for not having books 2 or 3 done. I just imagine Ralph Lister isn't cheap, because I don't listen to audiobooks, and that's a name even I know. I think he does the Malazan books. But anyway, so yeah, I encourage it for that. And also, again, guys, if you're just looking for a really good Grimdark story with 2 really, really fresh characters, I think you're going to find plenty to like here. So guys, have you read Kings of Paradise? No? Do you want to? Drop in the description. I'm going to post a link for you guys to buy this, because I really think that you will enjoy this if that's the style of book that you are into. And the fact that Mr. Nell is so engaging on social media. Yes, I'm not on Twitter anymore, but that's where we actually originally hooked up, and now we're just doing the old-fashioned thing and having email correspondence. He's very, very engaging on social media. So if you want to ask him a question, you have any questions for him, anything like that. He actually just dropped on the Discord the other day, but I think he just kind of dropped in and was like, oh, this is too much for me, and bounced out. You know, he said he actually found the channel originally when he was looking for older booktubers. I never get tired of hearing that, but it turns out we're the same age, so you know, I kind of get it. But anyhow, guys, have you read Kings of Paradise? What did you think? Did you keep going? Do you want to keep going? Do you want to read this? Drop in the comments and let me know, and I will talk to you there.